A quiet evening. Julia sits at her desk in her dimly lit apartment. The faint hum of her laptop fills the silence. Her room is cluttered with papers, books, and a half-empty mug of coffee. She scrolls absent-mindedly through her social media feed, catching up on the day's posts. Suddenly, a notification pops up, a message from an unknown account. The text is short, cryptic. "I see you. You can't hide." Julia frowns, brushing it off as a prank, but a chill crawls up her spine. The screen flickers, and she almost feels like someone is watching her. She glances over her shoulder, but the room is empty. Just a lingering unease. Her mind races. Could it be a scam? A hacker? Maybe someone she knows playing a cruel joke? She dismisses the thought, but still, her heart beats a little faster as she stares at the screen, fingers frozen over the keyboard. In the back of her mind, she knows it's not just a prank. Something is wrong. But what? It's just a message, right? Julia sits back down, shaking off the feeling of being watched. She pulls up a new tab, deciding to distract herself by checking her emails. The screen is bright against the dim room, almost too bright. As she scans through her inbox, a new email pops up at the top. "You can't hide." It's from the same unknown account as the message. Her breath catches in her throat. This isn't a coincidence anymore. She opens the email cautiously. Inside, there's just one line of text: "I know everything." The room feels colder, the faint buzzing of her laptop now accompanied by the sound of her heart pounding in her chest. She looks around once more. The apartment feels larger than it should. Her fingers tremble as she slowly reaches for her phone, dialing the number of a friend she trusts. "Hey, something's wrong. I need help. I think I'm being stalked online," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. The call goes to voicemail. The silence that follows feels suffocating, and for the first time in a long while, Julia feels utterly alone. Julia's hands hover over the keyboard, her mind racing. She closes her eyes for a brief second, trying to calm the rising panic. What's happening? She opens the email again and reads it one more time. There's no return address, no sender information, just those chilling words: "I know everything." Her fingers hover over the keys, then quickly close the email and power off the laptop. Her breath is ragged now, and she stands up abruptly, pacing the room in a desperate attempt to calm her nerves. Her phone buzzes. It's a text from her best friend. What's wrong? She hesitates, fingers hovering over the reply. Should I tell her? The thought of sharing something so terrifying seems impossible. She texts back, "I'll be fine," but even as she types, she doesn't believe it. The unease is growing, becoming something tangible. She can feel it in her chest, a pressure that's only intensifying. She thinks about calling the police, but something stops her. What would she say? "I've received creepy messages online." They would never take her seriously. A wave of nausea washes over her as she sinks back into the chair. Julia can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. The room feels unnervingly quiet. The silence, broken only by the soft hum of her phone on the table, is deafening. She takes the phone and calls a local tech support service, hoping for some insight on what could be happening. The operator's voice on the other end is calm and reassuring, but it offers no answers. "It sounds like you're dealing with a phishing scam," the operator says. "You should change your passwords and scan your devices for malware." Julia listens, but the advice doesn't comfort her. This feels different, more personal, more dangerous. As she hangs up, she notices something strange. The corner of her screen seems to glitch for a split second. Her pulse spikes and she stares at the screen, waiting for it to happen again. But nothing. The glitch is gone, as though it never happened. Maybe I'm just imagining it, she thinks, but deep down, she knows she isn't. Later that night, Julia can't bring herself to sleep. She lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, the soft glow of her phone beside her. Her mind races, replaying the events of the evening over and over again. Was it all a coincidence? A glitch? Or is someone really watching her? She glances at her phone again, the screen now completely dark. Her fingers hover over the device, and she quickly checks the time. It's past 2 a.m. The night feels endless. She gets out of bed and walks to the window, her eyes scanning the street below. The streetlights cast long shadows on the sidewalk, but no one is there. Still, she can't shake the feeling that something is lurking, just beyond her reach. She returns to her desk, picks up her laptop, and powers it back on. The screen flickers again. Her heart stops. The same message appears on her screen. I see you. The day after receiving the strange email, Julia finds herself in a restless daze, unable to focus on anything. Her mind keeps returning to the unsettling messages, the feeling of being watched. In an attempt to take control, she reaches out to someone who might help, Maya, a tech-savvy acquaintance she met at a freelance conference a few years back. Julia opens her laptop again, cautiously typing out a message. Maya, I need help. Something's not right. I think someone's stalking me online. Can you help? She hesitates before hitting send, unsure of how much she should reveal. A moment passes before the response comes. I've seen stuff like this before. We need to talk. Relief and anxiety mingle as Julia prepares to meet Maya in person. The more she thinks about it, the more she realizes that this isn't just some isolated incident. Something far bigger is happening. The thought of facing it alone is unbearable. As she grabs her jacket and heads out to meet Maya, she wonders if she's in way over her head. Later that afternoon, Julia meets Maya at a local cafe. Maya is sitting at a small corner table, her dark hair tied back in a messy bun. She wears a leather jacket, jeans and boots, her style effortlessly cool. Julia slides into the seat opposite her, still shaken from the morning's events. I don't know what to do, Maya, Julia admits, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya looks at her with sharp, knowing eyes. The internet isn't just a tool for connection, Maya says slowly. It's a weapon. People are using it to control others, and they're good at it. She leans forward, her face serious. But you don't have to be a victim. I can help. Julia nods, relief flooding her. She feels like a weight has been lifted, but the pit of unease remains. Maya explains how to protect herself online, how to delete traces, hide her identity, and become anonymous. But Maya's advice only makes Julia more aware of just how vulnerable she truly is. Julia, now armed with new knowledge, returns home and immediately starts following Maya's instructions. She changes all of her passwords, installs a VPN, and deletes her social media accounts. Still, the nagging fear doesn't go away. She can't shake the thought that someone out there knows everything about her. Later that evening, Julia receives another message. This time, a video file attached. Her hands shake as she opens it. The screen flickers to life, showing footage of her apartment, taken from a camera positioned somewhere in her living room. Her heart races as she watches herself earlier that day, pacing nervously in front of her laptop. The video ends abruptly with the message, "You're not safe anywhere." Panic surges in her chest. She feels her breath catch in her throat as the walls of her apartment close in on her. This isn't just a digital threat. It's real. The sense of dread is overwhelming. And for the first time, Julia feels like she might not escape this. Desperate for answers, Julia contacts the local authorities. She tries to explain the situation, but the officer on the other end of the line sounds skeptical. "We need more than a couple of creepy messages to investigate," the officer says. "Have you considered that this could be a prank?" Julia feels a surge of frustration. She tries to explain again, but it feels like the walls are closing in. She hangs up, feeling defeated. That's when she remembers Maya's advice. If you want to fight back, you need to get off the grid completely. If they want to find you, make it impossible for them to do so. Julia spends the next few hours taking extreme measures. She clears all her browser history, disables her credit cards, and makes her phone untraceable. The more she deletes, the more she feels like she's losing control of her own life. But it's the only way she can think to fight back. Julia stands in front of the bathroom mirror, splashing cold water on her face, trying to shake the exhaustion and fear that have settled deep in her bones. She stares at her reflection, barely recognizing the person looking back at her. How did I let it get this far? She asks herself. But the answer is clear. She didn't know. She never expected things to escalate this quickly. The feeling of being watched never leaves her, and as the days pass, the line between reality and the digital nightmare blurs. The more she learns about the forces at play, the more she feels like a puppet on strings. The anxiety has taken over every part of her life. She no longer feels safe in her own skin. What if I can never get away from this? She wonders, fighting back tears. As she stares at her reflection one last time, something shifts within her. She can't stay like this. She won't. But finding a way out will require more than just digital defenses. She'll need to confront the darkness head-on. After receiving the video showing her apartment, Julia spirals into panic. Every creak of the floorboards sounds like someone is inside her home. Every shadow seems darker, and every sound feels amplified. The weight of paranoia settles deep within her. She can no longer ignore the reality that she's being hunted. With shaky hands, she starts searching online for answers, typing phrases like stalker on the internet, online predator, and how to protect yourself from hackers. After hours of reading disturbing articles and testimonies from other victims, Julia discovers Liam's story. He's one of many who fell victim to a dangerous underground group, exploiting people through the internet. His story mirrors Julia's, the same creeping dread, the same feeling of being followed. She reads more about his tragic end. Liam was just another victim, another name on the list. He had made a grave mistake by trusting someone online. Julia shudders, closing her laptop. The connection between them feels too real, and the fear in her chest deepens. She's not just a bystander in this, she's part of something much bigger. The revelation of Liam's fate forces Julia to face the reality of her situation. It's no longer just about a series of unsettling messages and strange occurrences. It's a pattern, a calculated campaign aimed at destroying people's lives. She realizes the danger is far more real than she had ever imagined. With this new understanding, she decides to take action. She contacts Maya, hoping to find some way out of the digital nightmare. Maya, I need you to help me get to the bottom of this, Julia says, her voice trembling with urgency. Maya listens carefully, her voice filled with a sharp, calm resolve. This is bigger than you think. But don't worry, I can help. We'll track them down. Julia clutches the phone tighter, the weight of the decision sinking in. She's terrified, but she knows she has no other choice. Maya begins explaining how to track the hacker's digital footprint, how to use the tools to fight back. But the more Maya talks, the more Julia realizes that there's no simple solution. There are no easy answers. The only way out might be to fight fire with fire. That night, Julia tries to follow Maya's advice. She sets up a new anonymous email, installs firewalls, and starts using a secure VPN. Her mind races as she works through the steps, but she can't help but feel overwhelmed by the complexity of it all. Maya had warned her that it's a fight for survival, but Julia can't shake the thought that she might already be too far gone. The fear of what the hacker might know is paralyzing. As she sits back, trying to breathe, the laptop suddenly pings with a new message. Julia freezes. The message reads, "You're still here. I can see everything." A chill runs down her spine. The hacker isn't just watching her. They know her every move. Her hands tremble as she closes the laptop, the weight of helplessness settling over her. It's clear now. There's no escaping the digital web that's closing in around her. Julia is now at her breaking point. Every attempt to regain control only pulls her deeper into the abyss. She can't keep up with the constant surveillance, the messages, the threats. Desperation leads her to seek help from a darker corner of the digital world, the dark web. Maya gives her directions to a forum, a place where people like her, victims of online predators, gather to share information and offer advice. It's there that she meets Liam's old contact, someone who claims to know how the hacker operates. It's not just one person, the contact warns. They're part of something bigger, something far more dangerous. Julia listens intently, feeling the weight of his words. This isn't just about her anymore. This is a larger, more terrifying conspiracy. The hacker she's been dealing with isn't working alone. Julia's stomach twists with fear. She's gone from being the hunted to part of a much larger game, and she doesn't know if she can survive it. The realization that she's tangled in a larger conspiracy weighs heavily on Julia's shoulders. She wants to run, to leave everything behind, but she knows that's no longer an option. Her life is no longer her own. It's in the hands of the digital forces that are pulling the strings. She decides to confront the hacker directly. It's a risky move, but she has no other choice. As she prepares herself to make the final step, she is struck by the thought, what if this never ends? What if they always find a way back into my life? But she can't stop now. She feels the weight of the decision pressing down on her, but she's determined. Julia takes a deep breath and opens her laptop. The screen glows faintly in the dim room. This is it, her last chance to fight back before everything she knows disappears forever. Julia's heart pounds as she stares at the screen, the message flickering in front of her eyes. I know everything about you, Julia. The words are a personal attack, a devastating confirmation that the hacker has been watching her every move. Her hands tremble as she scrolls through the dark web forums, searching for any clue about who's behind this. Her eyes widen when she stumbles upon an entry that mentions a group known as the Watchers. The forum post describes how they target individuals, manipulating their lives by leaking personal information, photos, and videos. It's clear now. Liam was another victim of this group, a pawn in their twisted game. The fear that's been gnawing at Julia's stomach for days now settles deep in her bones. She knows she's dealing with something far worse than a simple hacker. The realization hits her like a ton of bricks. This group isn't just a collection of tech-savvy criminals. They're orchestrating something much larger. They've been watching her from the moment she made the mistake of trusting the internet. Julia leans back in her chair, the weight of her situation overwhelming. She is trapped in a digital nightmare with no way out. Julia, consumed by fear, calls Maya in a panic. They know everything, she says, her voice trembling. Maya listens in silence for a moment before speaking calmly. It's not just one person. The Watchers are a network. They've been doing this for years. The gravity of Maya's words sends a chill through Julia. The Watchers aren't just after her for sport. They have an agenda. Maya continues, we need to get ahead of this. They won't stop unless we take action, but it's going to be dangerous. Julia can feel the weight of her next decision. She's been pushed to the edge. Do I run? She wonders, but she knows that fleeing would mean losing everything. What do we do now? Julia asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya gives a cold reply. We fight back. We go after them. The next few days are a blur of frantic action and sleepless nights. Julia and Maya work tirelessly, using every tool at their disposal to track down the source of the hacker's activities. Maya walks Julia through digital forensics, tracing IP addresses, analyzing network traffic, and attempting to infiltrate the hacker's online hideouts. But every lead they follow seems to hit a dead end. The deeper they dig, the more the hacker's presence feels like a shadow, always one step ahead. Julia spends hours at her desk, her eyes burning from exhaustion as she stares at the endless strings of code and data. She begins to feel like a rat in a maze, running but never getting any closer to the truth. In a rare moment of clarity, Julia realizes something. This isn't about stealing her identity or embarrassing her. The hacker, or rather, the Watchers, want control. They want to manipulate her life completely. Every action she takes feels like it's being guided by invisible strings. The fear grows inside her. What if I'm already too far gone? Julia stares at the screen, a breakthrough finally within reach. She's found a link to a server she believes belongs to the Watchers. The pieces are starting to fall into place, but as she prepares to dig deeper, she hesitates. She knows this could be the moment that changes everything, the moment where the hacker or Maya's enemies finally retaliate. The weight of the decision hits her hard. Am I ready to face them head on? She wonders. The laptop screen flickers, then suddenly goes black. Her stomach drops. Panic sets in as she tries to reboot the system, but nothing happens. It's clear now that someone is watching her every move. Her heart races as she grabs her phone to call Maya, but the call fails. Julia's worst fear has come true. They've found me. She realizes that whatever happens next, it's no longer about finding a solution, it's about survival. Julia knows she has no time to waste. The hacker is getting closer, and the walls are closing in. She gathers all the strength she has left, and heads toward her front door. But just as she reaches the threshold, her phone buzzes in her pocket. It's a text from Maya. They know. The words freeze Julia in her tracks. She steps back from the door, glancing around the room. The feeling of being watched has never been stronger. A cold breeze flows through the apartment, sending shivers down her spine. She turns back to her laptop, determined to finish what she started. If she's going to fight back, she has to confront the hacker once and for all. The digital web she's caught in may be closing in, but Julia knows it's now or never. She takes a deep breath and opens the laptop again, ready to face whatever comes next. Julia's heart pounds as she stares at the screen, the words, "You can't escape now," flashing before her eyes. This is the moment she's been dreading. The hacker, or rather the watchers, have cornered her. The room around her feels colder, and the darkness seems to press in closer. The time for hiding is over. She can no longer run from the fear that's consumed her for weeks. The digital maze has led her here, and she knows she has no choice but to confront them. With shaking hands, she opens a new message and types, "Who are you?" Her fingers hover over the keyboard for a moment as she waits for a response. The seconds stretch into minutes. The silence is unbearable. She doesn't know if they're watching her in real time, but something about this moment feels like the calm before the storm. Finally, the message arrives. "We are everywhere. You should have known." Julia's resolve hardens. She isn't just fighting for survival anymore. She's fighting for her life, for control, for the chance to reclaim what's been taken from her. The time for fear is over. The minutes tick by, each one feeling like an eternity as Julia waits for the hacker's next move. When the reply finally comes, it's a threat. "We've been watching, you're next." Her pulse quickens, and she feels the weight of the words pressing on her chest. Panic surges through her as the message sinks in. But amidst the growing dread, a single thought emerges: she's not alone. Maya had warned her that this would be a battle against something much larger, and now Julia realizes just how true those words are. She's facing a shadowy network that extends far beyond the screen. They know her every move, every action, but Julia isn't ready to give up. She's done running. As her hand hovers over the keyboard again, she makes a decision. It's time to strike back. "I won't be your victim anymore," she types. The words feel like a promise, a vow to herself that she will not be controlled any longer. The hacker's next move will be crucial, and Julia intends to make it her own. Julia can feel her breath quickening, but she refuses to back down. The response from the watchers comes almost immediately. "You can't hide. We own you now." Her heart sinks, but instead of succumbing to fear, a flicker of defiance ignites within her. She knows she has to take a step into the unknown, confront the very thing that's been tormenting her. Julia opens the encrypted file that was sent to her, unsure of what she might find inside. As the file decrypts, her eyes widen in disbelief. It's a map showing the locations of several victims, including Liam. The revelation hits hard, but the truth is undeniable. The Watchers have been operating for years, and now Julia is just another pawn in their twisted game. But the map also shows something else, a trail, a way to track them, to find their network and end this once and for all. The risk is immense, but the thought of being stuck in this digital prison forever is worse. Julia makes up her mind. She'll follow the trail, no matter where it leads. Julia follows the trail, tracking the locations on the map. Each step feels like it brings her closer to the heart of the Watchers. She feels a strange mix of dread and determination as she delves deeper into the hacker's world. Every action she takes, every keystroke, feels like a dangerous gamble. It's clear now that this isn't just a game to them. This is something much darker. As she traces the final location on the map, she realizes that she's closing in on a major hub, a hidden server that could lead her to the heart of the operation. Her hands are shaking, but she doesn't stop. She's come too far to turn back. This server might be the key to taking the Watchers down once and for all. But even as she prepares to breach the system, a cold thought lingers in her mind. What if this is a trap? What if I'm walking straight into their hands? Julia takes a deep breath and initiates the hack. The process feels slow, tense, each second stretching into eternity. The moment she's been preparing for is finally here. The hacker's defenses are strong, but Maya had taught her well. Julia's fingers fly over the keyboard, bypassing firewalls and encryption. Sweat beads on her forehead as the screen flickers, the digital world around her trembling in response. Then, a break in the system. The server is unlocked. She has access. The adrenaline rushes through her, but as she looks at the server files, she knows that this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. A new wave of dread washes over her when she sees the names of other victims. This operation is larger than she could have ever imagined. Julia's heart races as she prepares for what comes next, knowing that there's no turning back now. If she's going to stop the Watchers, she has to act quickly, before they find out what she's done. Julia's eyes widen as she uncovers the truth. The Watchers are not just a group of hackers, but a network that spans the globe. Their reach is vast, and their control goes deeper than she ever imagined. She's been a part of their game from the very beginning. The more she digs, the more the danger intensifies. Every file she uncovers feels like a countdown to her destruction. The realization sinks in. She's not just fighting for survival anymore. She's fighting for her life. Maya warns Julia, "You've uncovered something dangerous. They know you're coming for them." The fear in Maya's voice shakes Julia. She realizes that everything she's done, every step she's taken, has led her closer to a final confrontation. The stakes are higher now. She's not just fighting for her freedom, she's fighting for her future. With no other options, Julia resolves to finish what she started, no matter the cost. She has to destroy the Watchers. Julia dives deeper into the Watchers system, using everything Maya taught her. But the closer she gets, the more the system fights back. Every firewall feels like a wall closing in on her. Her heart pounds, but she doesn't stop. She can't. Then, an alert flashes on the screen. "They found you." Panic grips Julia, but she steels herself. She's in too deep to back out now. She pushes forward, determined to end it. The hackers' retaliation is swift. The walls around Julia close in as they begin to attack her system. She watches in horror as her files begin to disappear, one by one. Maya is silent, but Julia can hear the urgency in her voice when she says, "Get out now." Julia's heart races. The attack is relentless, but in the chaos, she finds one last file, the key to stopping the Watchers. She takes it. With the key to ending the Watchers in her hands, Julia takes one final step. The room feels suffocating, and every movement feels heavier than the last. But she knows this is the moment. As she activates the file, she hears the faintest sound, a whisper. It's the hacker, taunting her, "You'll never escape." Julia doesn't look back. She presses enter, knowing she's either ending this nightmare, or it's the last step she'll ever take. Julia's finger presses enter, triggering the file that could destroy the Watchers. For a moment, everything is still. Then the screen flickers. A countdown begins. Julia's pulse quickens. She has seconds to act. A whisper echoes from the speakers. "You can't stop us." Panic surges, but Julia forces herself to focus. This is the final battle. She either wins or loses everything. The countdown ticks away. Julia's heart races as the seconds slip by. She frantically types, bypassing security protocols, but the Watchers fight back harder. Each keystroke feels like a war. The digital world around her warps as the countdown nears 0. Julia's breath is shallow. Her mind is spinning, but she knows what she has to do. destroy their network. The clock hits 0. The final click is made, and the screen goes black. For a moment, Julia believes she's failed. Then, a soft beep, and the message appears: the system is down. Julia exhales a breath she didn't realize she was holding. But as she leans back in her chair, exhausted and relieved, she hears a faint sound. Her head snaps up. They're here. The door creaks open, and Julia's breath catches. She's not alone. She jumps to her feet, grabbing her phone to call for help, but there's no signal. Panic sets in. The footsteps draw closer. But then a voice calls out, "It's over, Julia." She turns, ready to face her worst fear. But when the figure steps into the light, it's Maya. Maya steps forward, her eyes locking with Julia's. "I knew you'd make it," she says, her voice calm but resolute. Julia's heart still races, but she nods, feeling the weight of everything left. The battle is over. For now. They've won, but the Watchers are always watching. Julia realizes that escaping their grasp is impossible, but surviving is still within her reach. With Maya at her side, Julia knows she's ready to face whatever comes next.